see dope people. Hey there, and welcome again to another episode of Dope People. I am your host, Brooklyn's favorite polymath, Hayden Green. And on this show, we interview dope people. Now, what do we mean by dope? It's an old term, but it means cool. It means somebody who's interesting. It means something that is really engaging, something that you really, really, really like. And that really applies to my guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put your hands together for the one and only Salena Richards. Welcome to the show, Salena.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Now, this is an absolute pleasure, and I want to thank you for taking the time. So we interview dope people here on this show, and you are one of the dopest people that I know. But in order to calibrate it so that I understand how people are thinking about the word dope, who is the dopest person that you have ever met or that you actually know?
That is a difficult question. But I would say, in terms of someone that I've actually met and actually interacted with, there's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Bernard Lloyd. And I first met him when I was when I was interviewing with McKinsey & Company. So they are a global management consulting firm, very well known in the corporate space. And he was a partner, and he is a Black man. And so even that on its own was incredibly impressive to me, in a space that is primarily white. There were people of color, and there was someone that had advanced to a partner level. And as I got to know more about him, so I only knew him as Bernard. I didn't realize he had a PhD in computational fluid dynamics from MIT, which I couldn't even tell you what that even really means. And he also has an MBA. But I think, so even that by itself was really dope to me. Like, wow, like that's super impressive. But really just his focus on so many social and civic efforts in terms of working with really kind of co-founding the social ventures within the Chicago office, which is where I worked with McKinsey for several years. And then also once he left McKinsey, really establishing a firm, not a firm exactly, but really kind of like a partnership almost, a collaboration within the community. So Bronzeville is one of Chicago's historic Black communities. And that's where he lives, but that's also where he has this organization called Build Bronzeville. And they're really focused on community development, and not just it includes beautification, but it also includes economic factors as well, in terms of really helping small businesses getting established, and really just helping people to rebuild the community, so to speak. And so I just think, kind of across like all of the things he's done, I consider that to be dope.
That's an amazing, it sounds like an amazing guy. That's a dope person that I would love to meet. And I could see why you would actually pick that person. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Salena, I'm going to tell you why I think that you are dope.
Okay.
And so when I first met you, you and you still do, but when I first met you, you had a doctorate in chemistry, right? And so I'm like, all right, she's a chemist, right? And then as time went on, it became clear to me that you were excellent at everything that you did, right? And so within quick succession, you would also become a certified fitness instructor. You, in the last 5 years, have been a finance manager. And even your baking is world renowned, right? And so the thing that I find the most dope about you is that I consider myself to be a polymath, right? Like, but I will readily admit that I dabble in stuff, right? Like, so I will put my finger in this, I will put my finger in this. I am nowhere near certified in any of the things that I do. And you have documentation for your dopeness. So that thing, that has always been really, really amazing to me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've not thought about it that way, but I appreciate the compliment. Absolutely.
Well, listen, hey, this is how we see you. You know, Dr. Salena is always impressing us. And to be frank with you, sometimes when I think about the stuff that I'm doing, I was like, could Salena get it done? Yep. So then I gotta go do it. That's my North Star.
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
Well, I want to. So I am thankful for you being on the show because I know that you're doing a lot of stuff. So we're going to take a quick break, and then I want to hear what you consider to be what you are doing that is dope.
Yep. Awesome.
All right. We'll be right back. And we are back with Dope People, and our dope person today is Dr. Salena Richards. And so, Doctor, this is the place where we want to hear from you what dope thing you are doing, whether it is a one-time thing where you solved the fluid dynamics of some chemistry. I don't even know. Like, just having a doctorate in chemistry blows my mind. Like, I don't even know what level of mental capacity is necessary in order to do that. But anyway, whether you come up with one particular thing at one particular time, or it's something that you've been doing over a course of time. So, Salena, what makes you dope? What are you doing that's dope?
Yeah. So that's also a difficult question. And not because I've got so many things. It was like, oh, I think about the things that I do just in terms of like, oh, this is something I'm doing. And I don't really reflect in terms of, oh, wow, like that's dope. That's impressive. I can certainly easily see dope and awesome and impressive things about other people. But I think when it comes to myself, it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, that's just what I do. But for me, it's something that you touched on in terms of fitness. And that is something that has been with me throughout my entire life. So from the time like pre-high school, even I was running track, and then 4 years of high school, did varsity track, went to state championships. That was a lot of fun. But then when I went to college, when I went to FAMU, I let that go because I was on an academic scholarship and I didn't really feel like I had the time to do both. And to be honest, I kind of lost some of the excitement for running, if you will. Like it was starting to become a little chore like, and I really had to kind of regain the excitement and just really do running on my own terms. And that was when I started getting into long distance running. So when I was doing track, I was doing, the 400, the 800 meter races and relay races. But when I got into long distance running, I really fell in love with that. And so I set a task for myself, like, okay, I want to check this off my bucket list. I want to do a full marathon. And so I did a full marathon. I did the Honolulu Marathon, and that was awesome, but it was a lot. And so I said, hey, I enjoy these long distances, but gosh, like it felt like a year just to train for the marathon. And so then I started doing half marathons, and that really became kind of my thing. And so I've done multiple half marathons like across the country. And then my knees kind of gave out. So the doctor was like, like this running, that's great and all, but if you don't want knee replacements, like in your 40s, then you might want to step back from that. And so, oh gosh, like, okay, now what do I do? Because I'm a self-confessed cardio junkie. And so it's like, that was really my thing. And then I discovered spinning. And so I've really just been spinning and doing, I have a Peloton bike and I do that all the time. But I also do strength training. I also do yoga. As you mentioned earlier, I used to do this class called Turbo Kick, and I was raving about Turbo Kick. And I've been doing the class so long that like I was just a student in the class, and there were multiple students, multiple times that were like, you know this so well, you could teach it. You could teach it. Like you could totally teach this. And I was like, oh, whatever. And then finally I was like, why not? Why not try it? Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I don't do well and whatever. Okay. And so I went and got trained, got hired as an instructor, and that was a lot of fun. And I was doing that all the way up into the pandemic, actually. And I think had it not been for the pandemic, I probably would have, kept doing it. But then, gyms got closed down and lots of things changed. And so, but through it all, I've just been consistent about fitness in my life and just the importance of it and just being enthusiastic about how important it is to be fit and whatever that looks like, whether that's some version of cardio, whether that's some version of strength training, whether that's a class that focuses on flexibility or mobility, whatever it may be, that's just something that I'm super passionate about. I think is super important. I love to have people work out with me. I love to work out with other people, even if it's as simple as like, hey, let's take a walk. Like that's pretty awesome to me. And so I think that's, when I think about kind of something that I'm doing, it's really just focusing on that piece of my health and also being really encouraging for anyone else that's on any type of journey that involves fitness and involves exercise to be an encouragement to them.
And I have seen you host a class, and I was smart enough to know to not be one of the victims. I mean, participants. And I took my camera out. I took pictures. And
Yes, I remember.
so, but you are a ball of energy. So I can definitely attest that fitness is definitely one of your passions.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for all that you brought to the show. I always end out the show with a dope moment in history. And we are coming up to the 100-year anniversary of this dope group of people. And they were known as the Savoy Big Five. And they were founded in 1926 in New York City. Do you have any idea what the name that they're better known as?
No.
Well, the Savoy Big Five went on to become the Harlem Globetrotters.
What? Awesome.
And as you know, they're coming up on their 100-year anniversary, and they have been dope for years. I remember when the Harlem Globetrotters came to town, it was a big deal, and when I couldn't go, or when I got to go, it was just magical, and they have been magical for 98 years, and so I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I remember the first time that I saw them, and I was just in awe.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And then you go home and you try to do all this stuff and you're like, nope, those people are superhuman.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even try. So, nope, I knew better.
Well, Salena, it has been a pleasure to connect with you again. Where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Oh, gosh. I'm really not on social media. So I'm trying to think. I don't even know my Instagram title. So that's so or my handle. That's so horrible. But I am on LinkedIn, so you could easily search for me on LinkedIn and you can find me there.
Absolutely. We'll make sure that we get that information into the podcast, and if people are looking for you. Well, Salena, thank you so much. And if you're looking for her, go check out LinkedIn, and please like and subscribe to this particular video. And if you know somebody who is a dope person, please get them in contact with me, and we'll make sure that they make the show. And until then, until next week, go forth and be dope.